Scene 1. The Elegant Stranger. It was a quiet evening in late autumn, the kind where the air smells like rain and the town feels smaller than usual. The diner on Elm Street glowed softly against the drizzle outside. The hum of jazz, the hiss of the coffee machine, comfort in every sound. At the counter sat a man in his late 60s. Silver hair, navy suit, gold watch that caught the light every time he moved. His name was Arthur Wells. He looked like success itself. Rumor had it he'd once been a big city businessman, rich, sharp, and respected. People liked to guess what brought him to their quiet town. Arthur smiled, told small stories, and listened more than he spoke. No one knew he lived with a secret heavy enough to sink him. Scene 2. The Businessman. Arthur came every morning at 7:30, sat at the same stool, ordered the same black coffee, no sugar. Julia, the waitress, always greeted him with a smile. "Busy day ahead, Mr. Wells?" she'd ask. He'd grin. "Always, my dear. Meetings, clients, never ends." People listened, impressed. "You can tell he's important," one man whispered. Another nodded. "Probably retired rich." Arthur never corrected them. He liked the warmth in their eyes when they believed in him. For a few hours, he could be the man he used to dream of being. Scene 3. Stories over coffee. Days turned to weeks. Arthur became part of the diner's small family. He gave advice about work, saving money, chasing dreams. His words felt wise, his presence steady. Julia often refilled his cup and said, "You should teach, Arthur. You've lived such a life." He smiled. "Maybe someday." But when the laughter faded and the morning rush was gone, Arthur stayed alone, staring into his cup, his reflection trembling in the dark coffee. He wasn't who they thought he was, and he feared if they knew, they'd stop seeing him at all. Scene 4. The Man in the Rain. One night, Julia locked up the diner late. Outside, the street light glowed pale gold through the rain. She noticed a shape on the bench across the street. Arthur, sitting alone, soaked through, his gold watch dull under the drizzle. No car, no briefcase, just a small torn bag at his feet. She called out softly, "Arthur? What are you doing here?" He smiled, voice trembling. "Just enjoying the rain." Julia hesitated. Something in his eyes, that quiet sadness, stopped her from asking more. But as she walked away, she knew something was wrong. The image of the proud man, sitting alone in the cold, wouldn't leave her mind. End of part 1. Scene 5. The Confrontation. The next morning, Arthur came in late. His suit looked freshly pressed, his shoes polished, as if to erase the night before. Julia handed him his coffee, but didn't move away. "Arthur," she said softly, "where do you go after the diner?" He smiled quickly. "Oh, I keep busy. Travel for business now and then." "Really?" Julia said gently. "There's no airport near here." His hand froze halfway to his cup. He set it down, slowly, carefully. "Julia," he whispered, "you shouldn't have followed me." "I was worried," she said. "I saw you, sitting in the rain." Arthur's eyes lowered. The mask fell away. "I wasn't waiting for anyone," he said. "I was trying to look like I belonged somewhere." Then he told her everything. Scene 6. The Confession. Years ago, Arthur had a small shop in another town. When the factory closed, his business collapsed. His wife left. His savings disappeared. Soon, he was living out of shelters, wandering from town to town. "I came here because it felt peaceful," he said quietly. "I wanted to pretend, just for a while, that I still mattered." Julia's eyes filled with tears. "Arthur, you do matter." He shook his head. No one believes a man without a suit, but if you wear one, speak gently. People listen. Julia smiled sadly. Then you've been teaching us something even greater. He looked up. What's that? That worth isn't in what you wear, it's in what you give. For the first time in years, Arthur felt truly seen. Scene 7. The Forgotten Bag. That night, Arthur forgot his old brown bag under the counter. Julia found it while cleaning. Inside were loose sketches, handwritten notes, and a small ledger. Across the first page were the words, Second Youth, a cafe for new beginnings. There were business plans, menus, and lists of names from shelters. A dream, to create a place where anyone could start again. Julia closed the book with trembling hands. Arthur wasn't pretending to be successful. He was planning to become useful again. Scene 8. The confrontation reversed. The next morning, Julia placed the bag in front of him. Arthur, she said gently, I read your notes. He looked terrified. You did? Yes, she said, smiling, and I think you've been lying, not to us, but to yourself. Arthur frowned. What do you mean? You keep saying you lost everything, she said softly. But you haven't lost your heart or your hope. He looked at her for a long moment, then finally whispered, Maybe it's time I stop pretending I used to be someone and start becoming who I'm meant to be. End of part 2. Second Youth Cafe. Months passed. The empty building on Main Street changed. Fresh paint, new signs, bright windows. Above the door, a name, Second Youth Cafe. Arthur, in an apron now, brewed coffee and taught others how to work again. Men and women from the shelter, just like him. Julia helped with every detail. The townspeople came, curious, and left inspired. Reporters visited. One asked, Mr. Wells, what made you start a business at 68? Arthur smiled. Because I finally realized the world doesn't stop needing you when you get old. It just waits for you to show up again. Applause filled the cafe that day, and Arthur's gold watch gleamed once more, not as a mask, but as a memory of survival. Scene 10. The quiet evening. One evening, Julia found Arthur outside the cafe, watching the sunset. The air smelled of coffee and rain. You did it, she said softly. Arthur chuckled. No, we did it. You believed in a man who'd stopped believing in himself. Julia smiled. Funny, you always talked about success, but the greatest thing you built was hope. Arthur nodded, eyes glistening. Hope's the only business that never fails. They watched the last light fade, two souls who had helped each other start again. Scene 11. The lesson. Sometimes life takes everything away, but leaves one gift behind, a chance to rebuild. Arthur's story wasn't about money, it was about courage. The courage to face the truth, to forgive your past, and to begin again, even when the world has stopped watching. Moral, it's never too late to start over, not for dreams, not for love, not for yourself. Scene 12. Closing and call to action. Thank you for spending this time with Arthur's story, Second Youth. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment below. Have you ever had to begin again in life? Share your story. Your words might help someone else find courage tonight. And if you enjoy gentle stories filled with hope and real emotion, please subscribe to the channel. Join our warm family of listeners who believe every ending can become a new beginning. Until next time, remember, the clock doesn't count your age. It counts the moments you decide to live again. Add a final comment at the end and subscribe to the channel in a warm, friendly style.